Hello there, and welcome back to another episode of Dr. Robotnik's Ring Races. Last time, I competed in the Chow Cup, which went very well for me. I ended up unlocking a ton of races and hit a bunch of milestones towards 100% progression, so my character select has never looked so strong. I intended to keep that up going into the Wing Cup, and sure enough, there were a fair few rewards waiting for me at the end. So, let's finish up these introductions and get on to the racing. That started with Hanagami Hall, a 5-lap course through some sort of Japanese event venue. Complications arose almost immediately though, as I got an early sneaker, used it to break through a tripwire, then got sniped by an Orbonaut immediately and lost all my speed. Seeing as the ground in said circuit was considered off-road, I ended up losing far more ground than if I had just followed the basic path like everyone else. I made it up by the end of the first lap though, and I miraculously kept up a first place position through the next 3 laps despite bumping into pretty much every single wall in the course. It was only at the start of lap 4 when Knuckles managed to overtake after I drove into a column and lost my drift that I actually needed to try harder, and I ended up burning all of my rings in a final push to beat him to the finish line, only to realise that there was another lap to go. The performance may have guaranteed me a perfect lap bonus come the actual race finish, but I'm not sure the stress was worth it. across the 6 laps I spent on aerial Highlands, because yes, I was forced to retry a race this early into the Grand Prix, I got very intimate with the many pitfalls dotted around the track. There was this corner, which I fell off in one way or another, and half of the laps I raced. This little hole next to the start line, which I got blasted into via a drop target to the rear. This pit, that void. I almost believe I spent more time respawning after falling off the track than I did actually racing. My retry was triggered by a series of unfortunate events. Firstly, a garden top I got on the 3rd lap in 3rd place allowed 1st and 2nd to run away with the race after I missed a shortcut. Then, although no one passed me while I struggled with this hateful thing, they did pass when I bounced off these clouds and fell off the track. I nearly managed to squeeze a 4th place finish out of a desperate situation, but at the very last moment, I landed poorly from a half pipe and allowed Knuckles to overtake. Luckily, my 2nd attempt, which is the one I'm actually going to show you, went far more smoothly. The biggest help was that storing a drift across these clouds was significantly more consistent for one reason or another, which helped a lot in this big corner towards the end. And after Eudoro actually gave me something useful, like a set of 3 sneakers, I was able to take 1st place and keep it for most of the rest of the race. It even helped me pick up a spray can. Whirl waters came and went without leaving much of a splash. After floundering aimlessly for the first two prisons, I accidentally ended up following the intended flow of movement and destroyed all of the other prisons in a whirlwind of destruction. Considering how little time I needed to sink into practice to get one of my current best results, it was no surprise that I got an A rank in the end. Anything less would have been a total washout. As long as you can corner properly, Crispy Canyon is a great course. With sneaker panels, dash rings, trick panels, and a ton of ring boxes everywhere throughout the course, you will be going very quickly. The only problem is, because of all of these features, catching up to opponents after an overtake can be a difficult journey, and if it occurs multiple times, as was the case with me, it can very easily snowball into a retry. First problem was getting spun out of a slope towards the middle of the second lap, which dropped me into 4th. I had managed to catch up and reclaim 3rd, but a combo of a drop target followed by whatever that was devastated me, putting me into a position to be hit again and dropped into 7th. At that point, the pack was too far ahead for there to be any chance of a resurgence, pushing me into a good position, and a retry became necessary. On that attempt, a better understanding of how to take the many corners and to stay on top of the oh-so-important pillars right before the finish line meant I saw hide nor hair of any other races for most of the race, and even after messing up while trying to get the spray can multiple times, I cruised into an easy A rank. Technology Tundra was a roller coaster of emotions. The first lap was extremely strong because after I zipped ahead of everyone else using the first blood boost, I saw nothing of the other races the entire time, with the only attack coming my way being a Jaws that was actually blocked by my Orbinaut. That's practically a Christmas miracle. It was only after starting the second lap that trouble began. It started with a miscalculation causing me to drive head first into the off-road, which I attempted to rectify by using all of my rings. I managed to collect a few more to stave off the dangers of being in ring depth, but I was now in the middle of the pack, and after I drove into my own proximity mine, I was fully in the red. That lost me a lot of ground, especially after a particularly troublesome uphill climb that saw me being spun out repeatedly, and even an invincibility didn't look like it could save me. Until I used to pass a tripwire and jump from 7th to 3rd, and then drove through another tripwire right as the effect wore off to rocket into 1st. The jingle actually finished before I passed through the wire, so it was insanely lucky on my end that invincibility must have an extremely short window after it elapses where it still lets you enter shortcuts, presumably for situations exactly like this. And with that final surge, there was nothing the other racers could do to catch up, so I cruised into another A rank victory. Deluged Metroplex is another example of just how embarrassingly bad a prison break round can look if you make just one mistake. Start by going in the wrong direction, or by missing a single shot, or hyperfixate on the wrong prison, and the whole thing can fall apart instantly. Frankly, the fact that I got a second prison right as my time limit was about to finish just extended the waste of time.
I'll blow you away!
Operator's Overspace is a really cool track. Would be even cooler if it wasn't for the fact that the music is affected by the streamer mode that filters out copyrighted songs, but a few minutes of awkward silence is better on my end than having to deal with a copyright strike. It's a fast track with a couple of really big jumps where all of the corners are wide and the straights are quite long. In other words, perfect for a super heavyweight like Mechasonic. My first blood boost came in handy, allowing me to get a good lead and nearly collect the quarter spray can, before I used the AI's inability to handle these specific quarter pipes to my advantage and narrowed the already slim lead to the opposition. On the second lap, with a better understanding of the course, I maintained a more confident competitive position by better handling this 180-degree jump turn and avoiding more of this off-road. And although Knuckles offered a final challenge for first right at the finish line, it was ultimately I who crossed the checkered flag in the lead. And with that final A rank, I secured total victory in the Wing Cup, dominating the competition. Assuming you ignore the 2 restarts, which I shall for the sake of maintaining the agenda. Despite minor setbacks, I had done well enough throughout the cup that I was confident that I could get into the sealed star. And sure enough, I could. This is Venice, the 5th star, so I have completed it before, but that was off screen between episodes, so this is the first time it's appearing in this playthrough. It's honestly one of the easier sealed stars, mostly because Jaws are actually able to hit the emerald for once, so it wasn't as much of a hassle as it usually is to get the emerald and get out. With a strong lap bonus, strong ring bonus, alright prism bonus, and only 3 restarts, the Wing Cup would have likely been an easy A rank. Throw a Chaos Emerald in there to guarantee a higher rank, and it's now an S rank. That didn't do all that much other than guarantee some bragging rights. We're now at 3 S ranks total, but there were a lot of rewards nonetheless. The Mega Cup, of course, is our next destination. There are also 2 spray cans, Dream and Grey, from Aerial Highlands and Crispy Canyon. I unlocked a new follower called Kobu by not going into ring depth on Hanagami Hall, which surprised me because I just assumed I had. But most importantly, I unlocked 2 new characters. By finishing in 3rd or better on Hanagami Hall, I unlocked Sakura Senguji from the Sakura Wars franchise, which I assume places the hall as a location from those games. I've come to assume anything overtly Japanese in these games is from Toho Project, hence the surprise. In addition, by winning Operator's Overspace, I unlocked Aegis, everyone's favourite robot from the Persona franchise. This was definitely the more exciting unlock for me. I'm still devoted and loyal to my beautiful Mecha Sonic, but these are both fun unlocks and my character select is finally beginning to look quite full. In fact, we're 60% of the way to 100%. Ring Races is closer and closer to completion every single day, and soon, I'll be able to move on to other games. I hope that you enjoyed the video, and ciao.